Welcome, everyone. I'm Kelly Wilkins from My Self-Reliance. It's so good to have you all in the room tonight. And if you're watching the recording, thanks for being here. We have a really big episode, I guess, for you all tonight. And I'm really excited to have Zac on as our guest speaker. Welcome, Zac.
Thank you for having me, Kelly, again. It's a pleasure and an honor.
It's good to have you here. We've got a big topic, but before we jump into our topic, I just want everybody, we have a big announcement this week. Our festival in October has been rebranded, and I want to release to you the new version 2.0. It's the My Self-Reliance Freedom Summit Live. We wanted people to really understand what it is that we're doing at the Freedom Summit, and hence the name change, because a festival's kind of fun and it's thousands of people perhaps and all kinds of fun things, but a summit really conjures up something that's more intense, I guess, and something that's really pulling our energies together to really, we're going to create some big things. So over 3 days, 3 full days, it's going to start on the Friday. If you want to camp, you can come in on the Thursday, and you don't have to leave till the Monday. So it's a really lovely big weekend of it. So the Friday, we're going to, it's all about me. It's all about you. It's all about unleashing the burdens that sometimes we come in with. And we're going to really dive deep into seeing the world, seeing what we want to create in the world, and bringing our best selves to this event and also into our lives. So we're going to have a soft, really beautiful experiences that are actually going to be really transformative in nature. The evening of the Friday night, we're going to have a potluck dinner and a talent show. That'll be lots of fun. Saturday is all about upskilling. And we've got bush survival, emergency prep. We've got self-defense classes. And then we're going to round up the evening with a bush dance. So much fun. The Sunday is all about getting together in our communities and really working out real world problems, problem solving as a community. Now, we're forming hubs, My Self-Reliance hubs across Australia, and those hub leaders will help the communities to really grow and flourish in their space and expand My Self-Reliance across Australia. So much more to that. There's so much more. You have to really dive in. We're going to have equine experiences with Jojo. We've got a spit roast with Country Meats Direct. We've got an ice bath and yoga and qigong and so many lovely experiences. So I really want you to come and be there and spend that time with us. Now, as we get into, if you want to get your tickets, you can go to myselfreliance.com.au. Now, as we lead into our topic tonight, I have been really excited to bring Zac in to share with you this huge topic of transhumanism. On the weekend, I went to a movie screening of you might have heard of the movie Disconnect Me. And it was about a guy who went on the journey of disconnecting himself from the internet for 30 days and from social media, and put his phone away for 30 days. And it was quite extraordinary, the information that came through. And one of the things that really struck me that he talked about was the way that we're going. It's no longer about having technology. We all carry a phone, but the technology is already here, that people are starting to embed this in their body and becoming their body is the phone. You know, there's willing participants already who are walking around as extensions of their phone, and now all of that sounds horrific, and I don't think anyone on this channel is going to choose that, but we are already choosing it without realizing it. because there are more mobile phones on the planet there are people. And if any one of us wanted to try to go without technology, we know that it's very difficult. We can do without it until we have it, and then they'll try taking it away, and it's really challenging to live without. But what Zac's going to share with us tonight is the technology that we are experiencing without choosing it. Okay, so this is where it gets really scary, is that the transhumanism is starting to come into play, and it's not even our choice. It's happening to us, and we're not even aware of it. So thank you, Zac, for being here and bringing this to our awareness. I will hand over the time to you.
Thank you very much for having me, Kelly. It's always a pleasure and an honor. Were we going to play the Can everybody see that?
Was Yuval Noah Harari right when he said,
"We are now hackable animals"?
He also said this.
People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development, is this ability to hack human beings.
You may not know this, but he is actually referring to the Internet of Bodies. Not the Internet of Things, the Internet of Bodies. People, humans connected to the Internet. Imagine a smart home. All the appliances, the kettle and the washing machine and the dishwasher and the sensors and the security cameras and all the monitoring and the doorbell and the light, all connected to the Internet so that you can monitor and control them using your mobile phone. And then imagine that smart home is your body. And the appliances, the kettle and the fridge and the washing machine are organs in your body. And the light bulbs are your hormones and your brain activity. And imagine the remote control, that phone application that controls all of this, is in the hands of Bill Gates or Yuval Harari or Klaus Schwab. So what does this have to do with COVID? What does this have to do with vax shedding? What does this have to do with the people that are emitting Bluetooth MAC addresses? I am going to answer all of these questions. I'm Zac from powerofthepulse.com. I'm a nanotech and synthetic biology researcher and consultant, and that is literally what I do. My job is to read hundreds and thousands of scientific papers and research and analyze wacko nutjobs like Harari and Schwab and what they say, and connect that and analyze the nanotech assault. And I am part of a global group that helps thousands of people each year disengage and detox nanotechnology and vax shedding. I am going to share with you 3 things. Number 1 is the truth about the injectables and transhumanism. Number 2, the real solution to vaccine shedding and nanotechnology that isn't supplements or EDTA chelation or pine needle tea or ivermectin. And most importantly, the 3 steps to the anti-nano detox and how they will benefit you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, everyone can hear me? Everything's good? Welcome to my presentation on being unhackable, the real solution to shut down vax shedding and save your soul. So I'm very honored and grateful to be here again. My first presentation here, which is also the last presentation I did here. The recording of that got to 6,300 views on Rumble, and I'm very grateful to say that I think I was, based on the comments and the emails that I got in response, I'm very grateful to say that I think I achieved my goal of helping as many people as possible with that. Now, to start with, look at these images, and I don't know about you, but like, who here looks at that and goes, no, thank you. I do not consent. Because I'm one of those people. No, thank you. Okay, absolutely not. I do not comply. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. Now, what's interesting, if someone looked at this and said, oh, cool, I want that. I mean, I would say, like, have you gotten your 5th booster? Because you might be a lot closer to that already than you think. Okay. By attending this talk, you understand the following disclaimers. Firstly, this disclaimer and then this disclaimer. Now, I'm going to be talking about nanotechnology. This is what is used to implement transhumanism, shedding and self-spreading jabs that you inject 5% of the population and the rest get inoculated. This is what nanotechnology is, what is used to implement synthetic biology and the Internet of Bodies. How many people are familiar with the Internet of Bodies? Just yes or no in the chat. Have you heard about the Internet of Bodies? Do you know what the Internet of Bodies is? Okay, no, no. Yes, no. Okay, this is interesting. So you've probably heard about the Internet of Things. The Internet of Bodies is where you connect people, humans, to the internet. Now, when we talk about nanotechnology, I want you to get an idea of the scale that we're talking about. How much are we talking about? How much do we drink, eat, inhale, and absorb daily? How many nanoparticles? In 2012, that number was at 100 trillion. 100 trillion nanoparticles every single day. You bring into your body 100 trillion nanoparticles per day. And that was in 2012. Probably it's much higher than that. Generally, I just say hundreds of trillions of nanoparticles. Now, what's very interesting is that if you grabbed all of these 100 trillion nanoparticles and you put them together, you might get the size of a few grains of rice. But this isn't a few grains of rice. This is hundreds of trillions of extremely, extremely tiny nanoparticles. Now,
Zac, let me just ask you right there. When you talk about nanoparticles, you're not talking, that's not food, right? We're not talking about particles of food. We're talking about nanoparticles that is
synthetic, engineered. There are also, and that's another topic, but generally what we're talking about, this is actually a very good question. Generally, nano is anything that you take to the nano size. You really miniaturize to the point where it's almost the size of atoms. It's just a few atoms. It's unnaturally small. And so what you can have metals, carbons, plastics, all sorts of different things that are on the nano size. And then you have hybrid nanosystems and nanostructures, which are things together. That's another topic. So I want to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about here. When we talk about nanoparticles, let me give you an analogy here. So there's a TV series from the early 2000s. Have you guys heard about Alias, the TV series? Just pop in the chat. Yes. No. Okay. Yep. No. Okay, cool. Doesn't matter. So basically, in this TV series, they wanted to infiltrate a Chinese military base, of course, because it's an American movie, obviously. So they get a mini remote controlled car. And this mini remote controlled car has stealth cloaking. So this stealth cloaking basically prevents it from being seen. And you can see there in the image on the right. By the way, this is a series from 2001. And so it's so small, nobody can see it or hear it. And so this is like in the next scene or whatever, where that circle is. If your screen is bright enough, you'll just be able to see like a little phantom shadow, and that's the car. That's the remote controlled car. And that's next to a foot on the floor, so you can see how small it is. This is kind of like what nano is. It's so small and silent. It's hidden. It can go anywhere, even top security areas, including Chinese military bases. But think about your body like a military base or a fortress. This is the power of nanotechnology. Now, really what we're looking at scale, what we're looking about or talking about when we look at nanotechnology, since we're talking about hundreds of trillions, is really trillions of these little small, remotely controlled invisible bots infiltrating your body. Does that make sense so far? Just in the chat. Yep. We only have 2, 3. Come on, guys. Good or no? Beautiful. I have heard bots. Beautiful. Okay. Now, if you want a more modern example of this, there's this movie, I don't know too much about it, but there's this character in like the Marvel universe or something called Ant-Man. You guys know about this? He's like a guy that can like shrink himself. And I think there's a scene where like he goes into the bloodstream and, you know, he goes into like wires and stuff like that. So a more modern example of that would be like 100 trillion little ant-mans that you eat and drink and go through your skin and inhale that become parts of your body. Now, given this, is it any surprise? Is it any surprise at all? Whoops. Apologies. Technical difficulties. Okay, there we go. Is it any surprise at all that Yuval Harari says you are hackable animals? And has anyone noticed when Yuval says that, he never says you could be hackable animals, you will be a hackable animal. He says you are now, we are now hackable animals. Now, you probably already know that nanotech in the food, water, air, injections, and anesthetics is terraforming humanity. But let me ask you, did you consent? Did you consent to all of this nanotech staying in your body for decades and changing you from the inside? Did you consent to that? Because I didn't. Nope, nope, nope. I think we need a few more people. A few more no's in the chat. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, good. Good, you're in the right place. Now, Yuval also said, this is a slightly less known, less well-known quote, but I think it's very, very important. And it just shows the smugness. These people are so brazen and they're laughing at us. It makes me livid. People could look back, this is what Yuval said, people could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin. Especially surveillance under the skin. So is this connecting here? Convid, injectables, under the skin, surveillance, injectables, microchips. So first, I'm going to switch gears a little bit first. Who here cares about their health? Let's start very basic. Who do you care about your health? Put a yes in the chat. And if no, then put a no in the chat. Yep, 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 yep. Beautiful. Okay. Who cares about their health and their freedom? Put a yes in the chat. Absolutely. I'm with you, Greg. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Definitely. Yep. So let me ask you guys, let's take like 1 minute. What does health look like to you? What does health look like to you? No sickness, well-being, not a cyborg. That's a very good one. Not a cyborg. Well-being, joy, strong, clear, no reliance on pharmaceuticals. I like that one. Disease-free. Yep. Health is being health is being uncarroted. Yep. Opposite of hell, healthy nutrition, clean environments, quality of life, independence. I love these. I love these. This is beautiful. Is that clean water? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I think it's clear that everyone generally will have a different idea about what health means to them specifically. But how about waking up easily every morning, having energy with no aches or pains? How about having a sharp mind and good memory for as long as you live? How about also, you know, being able-bodied and being independent, like somebody mentioned? Energy, vibrancy, beautiful. Okay, is that important? Let me know. Yes. Yes. Yes, let's get a few more. Totes. Beautiful. Okay, essential. Beautiful. Okay, now I speak for myself here, and this really comes from my heart, but let me ask you, are you worried about the future of digital IDs and CBDCs and social credit systems monitoring your every breath? Yeah. Okay. Are you worried about shedding, changing your DNA, and building structures in your blood? Exactly like so many microscopists have shown us. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, beautiful. Lots of yeses. Are you worried about being microchipped with technology administered through the food, the water, and the air? And what really gets me about this is like Kelly said, this can happen without our consent, without us even knowing. That's the power of these little tiny remote controlled cars, or toy cars that go in our bloodstream and are so small that are virtually invisible to our body's defenses. Okay, what about, are you worried about the nanotech poisons in the air, food, and water making you sicker or more tired or increasing your chances of having cancer? Now we're seeing all these turbo cancers popping up, and that's a part of this. That's an element to this. Increasing the likelihood that you get Alzheimer's or MS or whatever it is, Parkinson's, Huntington's, whatever. Freaked out. Okay. And are you worried about this eventually reducing your lifespan? That's a real concern. Yep. I can tell you, for me, I'm incredibly worried about this, and that's why I do this to begin with. And that's how I started to begin with. But here's an interesting one for you as well. Have you ever sat in a room with injected people, with carroted people, and looked around and imagined with every breath, every inhale and exhale, and every movement that they make, they leak these toxic smart materials that have integrated with them, and now they're leaking them like volcanoes. Greg said every condition is cell damage caused by oxidative stress. Greg's onto something there. So have you guys ever imagined that? Yes or no? Because for me, that's, oh man, it's especially 2021, 2022 was, being in public was scary. Let's just say that, and still is for many means and purposes. Okay, do you imagine the technology in these people that are injected being inhaled by you, being absorbed through your skin, and then integrating with you just like it integrated with them? Suzanne says, I try not to worry about it. Yes or no, guys? Have you ever imagined that? Yes, yes, no, actually. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. I try not to. I understand that. I understand that. Now, last round here. Are you, or do you know anyone who is suffering inexplicable diseases with no cause, allegedly, illnesses where the mainstream says there is no cure, or it's blamed on genetics, unheard of, like weird Latin diagnoses? Yes, so many people. Yes. Surrounded by him. Wow. Live blood. Yeah. Okay. So I know one guy. He went to the doctor. One of many. Or one of two, three, maybe, let's say, to be exact. But I know one guy that went to the doctor saying his heart was hurting and he felt weird. And the doctor said, "Oh, you took your COVID jabs. You're fine." You checked him up, whatever. You're fine. Go home. But I mean, since you're here, take a flu shot. So took a flu shot and he went home. And that very night he was hospitalized. And he said he couldn't breathe. And then a few weeks later, he was diagnosed with lymphoma. So let me ask you, whether you've imagined these things or not, is it like accurate to say that everybody is or knows somebody who is suffering these inexplicable diseases, or diseases with no cure? We have one yes in the chat. Yes, yes. Okay. Get one more, not personally. Okay, okay. So let me ask you, what would your life look like if you don't have to worry about these things anymore? If you don't have to worry about synthetic biology, about transhumanism, about the internet of bodies and being connected to the internet, about being changed internally so that now your very brain, your very emotions, your very thoughts can now be controlled by digital programs and by governments and corporations and Mr. Yuval Harari. For me, as someone who has spent the last 2 to 3 years full time, like this is my job, researching and investigating this, peace of mind for me that I and my loved ones are safe means everything to me. Everything. And so now we've established that you care about your freedom and your health. Let me ask you, if you value your freedom and your health, and I and thousands of researchers and toxicologists and engineers worldwide are telling you that nanotechnology poses an incredible, horrific threat to your health and freedom, that your health and freedom is in danger, is that important to you? Is saving yourself and your loved ones important to you? Yep, beautiful. We are on the same page. Okay, of course, beautiful. Now, here's the thing. If you don't make time for your health, you will be forced to make time for your sickness. So either make time for your health and your freedom, or make time for your sickness and your slavery. Now here, my mission is today to show you how to stay free in a world that wants to put and does put technology inside of you, where now they want to control your thoughts and emotions digitally and want to control and monitor every aspect of you and your biology. And I want to show you what you can do about it, what you can do to achieve and maintain your vision of health. Is that cool? All right. So the day, I guess, everything changed for me was in early 2021. Do you guys remember early 2021? The injectable rollout had first started. It was like February here in Australia. And I was at the time going to a martial arts practice a few times a week. And in this practice, of course, there was a lot of skin contact. And there were some people that sweat profusely and you got their sweat all over you, basically. Sorry to be so gruesome. And I remember actually I used to wear long sleeves and long pants, even on like really hot days, 26 degrees, just to try and reduce the contact. But every time before I would leave to the martial arts practice, my mother would tell me, hey, wait, before you go, protect your DNA. And of course, what she means is like, be careful, try to avoid people that sweat excessively, try to, avoid contact as much as possible. And every day before I would leave, hey, Zac, protect your DNA. Zac, protect your DNA, protect your DNA, protect your DNA every single time. And so one day I said, like, come on, like, is it that bad? Is it that bad every time? Protect your DNA, protect your DNA, protect your DNA. Is it really that bad? She said, listen, imagine this genetic program in these people that they are leaking out of them in their sweat and their breath and through their skin. This is changing them. This is changing who and what they are in ways that we can't even understand yet. And now when you touch them, it's changing you too. And there is no undo button for that. There is no Control Z. There's no way to undo that. So in 2021, we were, of course, very worried and concerned. And as a result, we found a solution, which I'll explain later. But for now, for the purposes of just going through this, think about this solution as lightning destroying a circuit, lightning destroying that genetic program that was put inside of these people. Is that cool just for now? Does that make sense? Like everyone understands how lightning destroys circuitry, like a little jolt or zap can destroy that kind of thing? Yes, 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 yes. Beautiful. Okay. So this was the result. This was the very first prototype, I suppose. This was the result of that concern. So I'd come back home from practice, and before I shower, before I do anything, I come home, and this is a 3,000-year-old piece of technology, basically. The design is 3,000 years old, and it's basically a capacitor. So it gives you a little jolt, and that you see that ball at the top, that is basically a ping pong ball wrapped in foil. And so you charge it up, and then you touch the ball, and you get a little jolt, a little zap. And so I'd come home from practice and I'd charge it up, touch the ball. I go, I've disengaged the shedding. I'm not going to become a cyborg today. Okay. But then I started thinking, how how far does this charge go? So I know this charge is going through my arm and it's disengaging the genetic program that can change me. But how far does this go through the whole way? Because it's not very strong. So is it going through just my arm? How far does it reach? And so as a result of that concern and some technical difficulties with this Leyden jar, the next thing was this. This is a Van de Graaff. This thing is takes up a lot of space and is pretty expensive. And by the way, a pro tip here, if anyone comes into our house, because this is still in our living room actually. If anyone comes in here, I tell them and like looks at it, of course they always give you that funny look. You know, I tell them, hey, this is for us to communicate with the aliens, like, please. But it was better, and it's more mechanized. It's more of a in a professional electrical circuit, and so you turn it on and you give yourself little jolts. It's not really painful. You get used to it, but that was cool for a while. And then I thought, how far is that going through my body? Is this actually working? What happens if I had some shedding, some of the genetic program cut zap machine like I was thinking like what happens if some of these genetic programs enter my bloodstream? What happens if I have some on my foot and it's absorbed? What will happen? Will my genetic code be compromised by this synthetic program? And so I thought about that long and hard, and I really delved into the science about that. And I really wanted to know, I wanted to understand what is shedding? What is nano disengagement? What is the injectable working? How does all of this work? And of course, am I going to be safe with this Van de Graaff machine? So when we talk about shedding, very quickly, I just want to cover something very quickly. The first paper, actually, going through that, like wanting to understand, having this deep, burning desire to understand, this is the first scientific paper that I read of now probably almost 1,000. This lady, the lady that wrote this, thought that the COVID vax shedding ID was a conspiracy theory, and she actually writes that in this paper. She thought it was a conspiracy theory until she received a report about a 7-year-old with no risk factors, no reason, but he had a stroke. A 7-year-old who had no problems, but he had a stroke, and they couldn't figure out why. Why would this 7-year-old have a stroke with no previous risk factors, nothing indicating that this child might have a stroke? The only reason that they could come up with about why this child has a stroke is that his parents had recently been carotid, had recently been injected. How crazy is that? Crimes against humanity, yes or no? And just for some context here, like there's a lot of severe reactions from this is an injected person. This is an uninjected person who got intimate with an injected person, and some people had like extreme reactions. And this is clearly the nano program and the nano integration process that is trying to become part of him, and his immune system, probably he has a stronger immune system, and his immune system is rising up in defense against the takeover. And I've heard so many stories about shedding. Like I think in the last 2 years, I've probably had one or two stories pop up in my inbox every single month. And that's just the world we live in now, right now. Sorry about it, but that's the new normal that they've always talked about. So the big question here, right, is why was I jolting myself? Does everybody want to know that? Why is he jolting himself? Talking to aliens, jolting himself. We have one yes. How about everyone else? Yes. Why? Yes. Okay. So while everyone was drinking pine needle tea, maybe about 10,000 of us, 10,000 people around the world were zapping themselves. And I want to take you through why we were doing this. Does that sound good? Okay, carrots. Yes, thank you for the context in the chat, Kelly. Appreciate that. So this is Tony Pantalaresco in the early 2010s. Tony Pantalaresco was a very, very good herbalist and still is. Really an incredibly talented herbalist. And at the time, the government was doing experiments with certain types of nanotechnology and nanobiowarfare. That's a whole 5 other talks. And Tony must have been exposed to that because one day he started getting symptoms that were just inexplicable, that his herbal remedies just didn't work for. So he started getting these weird ailments and started suffering. And yet, as a great herbalist, his herbal remedies, all they would do is provide some little relief, some temporary release. And the problems would just keep coming back and keep coming back. And what he discovered is that he was suffering nanotoxicity and specifically a type of weaponized nanobiowarfare. And at the time, there was a small group of maybe 20 or 30,000 people also suffering these weird, inexplicable symptoms that were just unprecedented. And a lot of people, and until to this day, a lot of these people are called crazy, or they're imagining things, or they're delusional. And if you look at these people scientifically and you examine them, they're not delusional. What they're suffering is a nanotoxicity and a nanobiowarfare. And maybe I'll get to that later because I've worked with some of these people. We'll see if we have time. Now, the big key here, the big thing that Tony learned, because what Tony did is that he went and he studied and he researched and he looked. And when he found out that this was nanotoxicity and nanobiowarfare, at the time, nobody really knew anything about nanotechnology. There wasn't a lot of public research papers or anything. And so he went and he spent hours and hours and weeks and months researching and learning about nanotoxicity. And he learned a single secret, one secret that changed everything for anyone that suffered nanotoxicity then and now for the rest of time, basically, I guess. And that secret is that nanotech is a program. It's not a regular particle. Nanotechnology is kind of like an operating system. So it's funny because I remember one day talking to Tony, I asked him like, Tony, tell me more about the program, because the nano program, because I understand it controls what the nanoparticle does, how it does it, what it binds to. The nano program, the nano operating system controls where the nanoparticles go and what they deliver and what they change and all of that stuff. And he said, yes, 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 but let's simplify this a little bit. Take this understanding of it. The nano program simply is self-assembling. So it tells the nanoparticles, because this nanotechnology is self-assembling. So it tells these nanoparticles how to assemble themselves together, how to replicate. So you put one nanoparticle in and it becomes an infection. It becomes 1,000 of them, 1,000,000,000,000 of them. I can't count up beyond that, but that's what these nanoparticles do. And beyond that, the program tells the nanoparticles how to self-repair. This is very important. So with this understanding, this program or operating system is what tells the nanoparticles what to do, exactly like a program or a computer program or a computer operating system. Does that kind of somewhat make sense so far? Yes, yes. Yes, beautiful. You have to remember what we're talking about here when we talk about nanoparticles is something entirely different to our regular understanding of how particles and how things work. And part of that is in the quantum realm, because it's so small, you get quantum mechanical effects applying. Okay, so by the way, I didn't put that crown there. That crown on his head was just there, by the way. Full disclosure. So Tony developed technology and protocols to deal with nanotech by understanding how it works, by understanding what nobody else knew at that time is that this is a synthetic program. And not only did he make a full recovery, he has helped thousands worldwide over the last decade recover from all sorts of illnesses, diseases, ailments, all sorts of problems simply by destroying the nanotech operating system. Now, why did I say, did you notice this? Why did I say all sorts of symptoms, illnesses, and diseases? Does that strike you as kind of odd? This is why. Because nanotech causes, I like this saying, I came up with it. Nanotech causes every illness under the sun and then some. So if you look at this diagram here from a paper from 2017, a toxicology report, and this is republished by the Canadian government in a review on engineered nanoparticles and their dangers. You can look up here. Nanoparticles cause neurological diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. They cause Crohn's disease, colon cancer, autoimmune diseases, and even if you look at what I've underlined under there, nanoparticles literally cause death. So, if you understand nothing else, I want you to remember this next bit. All right, I'm going to switch gears here. This is Squeaky. This is my pet. I know some people don't really like mice. I get it. I'm with you, but this isn't a mouse. This is Squeaky, all right? This is my pet. Now, Squeaky is very naughty. Squeaky ate some nanoparticles. Squeaky is now dead. This is Squeaky now. It's actually beautiful to see you laughing. It's funny because last time actually there was a full room of people and everyone was so into what I was talking, and I said this joke and nobody laughed. Everybody just looked at me like okay, beautiful. So I've been working for probably now a year or more with a naturopath. So we took all of Tony's protocols and knowledge, and with his help and permission, we created a cohesive system to be able to stop nanotech, to prevent transhumanism, and to achieve freedom. And this system, we called it the anti-nano detox. Okay. And this is based on Tony's principles and our own strategies that we gained through our research and experimentation. So who wants to take a look at this system? Is that cool? Does everybody want to take a look at that? Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, here it is. You are looking at the blueprint. Now, I know there's a lot on here, but coming into this presentation, I was thinking I could just give you an ebook, like a PDF guide, and show you like step by step what to do and how to implement this framework. But I was actually talking to a lady recently, and she was telling me about how she was really annoyed because she finds like a lot of the PDFs and guides that she downloads digitally, she really just doesn't end up reading them, even though she knows there's some pretty valuable stuff. And I said, well, like you're telling me I am, I've read hundreds, almost 1,000 probably, research papers, toxicology reports, review papers online, but I have hundreds of PDFs and books and guides that I've downloaded, and I never read them. And, I don't want that to happen for you. But interestingly, what I told her is that I said, there are like 2 or 3 things that I have actually read and they've actually changed my life. And what that was for me actually was that I took these PDFs and I went to Officeworks and I actually printed them out and read them. And that way I was invested. I had spent a little bit of money. It wasn't just free. And I actually could hold it in my hands and read the words, and actually read a book instead of just being in front of this screen all the time. Okay. So instead of giving you a PDF ebook or something like that, how about I go through this framework with you? Is that cool? Depending on how much time we have, let's see if we can go through the disengage principle. So the disengage part means that you have to disable the nano program. Now, please understand, everything hinges on this. This is the most important part. Now, to illustrate this, let me tell you a story out of hundreds. So I'm friends with this health coach in Canada, and he's a so-called pureblood. He didn't get the injectable. And without nano disengagement, after the vax rollout, he's newer to this. So after the, sorry, not the vax rollout, the carrot rollout, the injectable rollout, after the injectable rollout, he started having a slow decrease in energy. He started getting a bit of brain fog. And in fact, when he tested his blood, have you guys all heard about the rubber blood clots and that kind of thing? The reports from the embalmers. Yep. Yes, yes. Right. He found that those were in his blood. So he pulls his blood out, he puts it in a vial, and then a few hours, and this rubber white blood clot is forms. And so what is really fascinating about this, and what I really want you to get from this story, is that at the time, this friend of mine was taking EDTA and ivermectin, and according to him, about 100 other supplements. He's actually, did I mention he's a health coach? So he was really into this. And you'd think that, with a health coach, someone taking EDTA, which we're told, will solve this, taking ivermectin, you wouldn't expect that he'd also be suffering a slow decrease in energy, brain fog, and have these rubber blood clots. But he did. Now, with just 3 days, 3 days of using anti-nano disengagement, of disengaging the nano program, the rubber blood clots were gone, and he had regained his energy and vitality. 3 days. 3 days. Why is that? It's because he's finally started disengaging the nano program. So, do you want to know how this actually works? A little bit of background. Yes. Okay. Let me ask you, how do you burn electronics? See, since nano is a program and an operating system, let me ask you, how do you destroy electronics? And there's a few ways. So you have a surge, an electrical surge. So, for example, with storms, we know to put surge protectors, and sometimes, the television can, or the washing machine or whatever it is, can get a surge, and now it's burnt. Doesn't work anymore. Why is that? Because this sudden hit, this sudden rush of electricity destroyed the circuits. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's get one more yes. And if it's a no, no, please, like, this is you and me. Like, if it's a no, no, cool. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. What's another way that we can burn electronics? We can burn electronics with an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. So this is kind of like the electromagnetic version of a surge, where you get a sudden hit of a magnetic pulse and you destroy all the circuitry. Now, here's the key here. And this is the key that Tony discovered after discovering that a nano is a program. He discovered that electric fields disrupt nanoparticles. Excuse me. But you're looking at this here, or charge them. Why is that? Because with a regular circuit, a steady flow of electricity will charge or run a circuit, while a sudden hit, a sudden jolt, like a surge or an EMP, will disrupt the nanoparticle. So that's what we have here. And that hit will wipe out the nano operating system. Does that make sense? Beautiful. Okay. This is a big one. So I get this a lot, but I take supplements. The reason supplements don't work for nanotech is you're not disabling the program. Can you repeat it, please? You need to disable the program, just like you disable. I'm going to get to this in a minute with an example, but you need to disable the program and the operating system with an electric surge or an EMP, something that hits it and takes it out. So, a really good example here is, I want you to imagine a fire in the forest. Can everyone imagine that? I think those two pictures are good. I picked those two pictures because you have an area where the trees are not burning and then an area where the trees are burning. So imagine a forest fire, right? And imagine you need to take these forest fires and you want to put them out, right? So how do you put the fire out? Well, number one, you can try and take away the oxygen, or you can try and take the fuel away. But the fuel is the forest. You want to keep the forest. The forest is your body. You don't want to destroy your body, right? So you can't remove the fuel. This is what the nano is using. So when you think about forest fire, what you need to do is like, think about it like this. Think about it like this. What supplements, what you're trying to do with supplements is that you're trying to take the trees and you're trying to put compost underneath them and fertilize them. You're trying to take all this stuff and say, here, trees, be healthier, be better. But what's happening is that you're not putting out the fire. You need water to put out the fire. You need to look at the fire and use what the fire actually is destroyed by. And so that's kind of like taking the supplements, is that you're strengthening your body, and the herbal remedies and all of that. That's beautiful. But what's happening is that the fire is still burning through you. It doesn't matter how strong the trees are. If the fire burns them, they're gone. Does that make sense? I'm proud of this. I'm proud of this analogy. So this is what disengagement is all about. Now, I don't have a ton of time to talk about the specific strategies, but we do have something called the spike. And so this is what we use for nano disengagement. Now, you probably have heard of PEMF, or pulsed electromagnetic field machines. This is kind of similar, but not the same. You see, the problem with a lot of these PEMF machines is that they provide a steady flow. With this is specifically geared for anti-nano disengagement, for destroying the program, for a very small surge, and it doesn't hurt. But you have a power knob as well for smaller and larger people. But this is what we use. And the spike, basically, there are two therapy pads there, and the little bit there is a conductive copper. And so you hold them in different parts of your body, and a small and safe voltage or current passes through in a sudden hit, on, off, and that disengages nano. And remember when I was talking about the capacitor and the Leyden jar, how like, I don't know if I can disengage nano in my feet, in my shoulders. How can I make sure that I cover my whole body? With these things, because of the therapy pads, you can hold and target any part of your body. Okay, so that is how you disengage the nano program. Once the nano program is disengaged, now your body can actually start fighting the nanotech. Does this make sense so far? Yeah. Yes, we use the spike daily. Yes. Yes, yes. Beautiful. Okay, but it's not over yet. So now we take it to the detox. Next, we need to detox and take out the nano. Get the body out. Get the nano out of your body for good. Who wants me to talk about how to detox the nano out of your body? Is that cool? Does that sound important? Beautiful. Okay. So there's a few things here. There's a few elements, but I'm going to cover the skin element. So detoxing from the skin. So now that the nano is disengaged, the body can start getting the nanoparticles and the nano program out because it has been disengaged and it's no longer binding and hiding in the body. It's like, you can think about it, the invisibility cloak of that little remote controlled car has been removed. So now you can take it out. We can get rid of it. Now we do this in a few different ways. So now the nano is disengaged, you can get out the nano through the bodily fluids, urine, feces, sweat, snot, etc. But you can also get it out through the skin. You can get the nano out through your skin. What? Okay. So we have a bath or foot soak, and we use a special recipe, and the nano literally comes out through the skin. And me being me early on, I heard this and I said, nano coming out through the skin? Surely not. Come on. Like, get real here. But this was developed initially for people that were suffering the nanobiowarfare infections. And I've spoken to some people in Australia with this, and it's absolutely heartbreaking what they go through every single day that suffer these nano infections. And they literally feel like, does anyone feel tingling or like excessive itchiness sometimes, or tingling on or under the skin. Is that something that, yes, no? Okay. Let's wait for a few more. So these people literally feel like there's a network, there are strings being pulled and tightened under their skin. And they get these sores and these horrible rashes and breakouts. And no, no, okay, majority knows that's good. That's good. Um, they get these horrible rashes and breakouts. And when you look under the microscope, these breakouts have all of these entangled nanostructures, these structures where you have hundreds and hundreds, thousands and millions of trillions of nanoparticles come together, assembled to large sizes, and it's just like an insect or a parasitic infection. And the body's trying to push it out. And that's why they have all these sores and rashes. And so initially, that's what the bath and the foot soak was developed for, to help once the nano was disengaged, to help the body get rid of these infestations. And that worked amazingly, and still works to this day amazingly, for anybody that suffers this specific strain of nano infection and nanobio warfare. But would anyone like to see the stuff that we get out through the skin? Is that cool? Does anyone want to see the horrific things that we get out? Okay. This is, I think, probably the first. This was the first nano extraction that I ever had. And there's a story behind this one. So this was a few months in of doing the regular anti-nano bath. And until that point, the anti-nano baths, because of the recipe, they're very healthy anyway. So I was doing them anyways, and I thought, let's see, if something comes out. And one day I get into the bath, and my shin starts tingling, a specific area in my shin. It starts tingling. Yes, this is under a microscope. And then it starts stinging. It gets painful, almost as if like I had a little wound. And so I stayed there for maybe half an hour, 40 minutes. And by the end, just at some point, I look down at my shin and I see this tiny, tiny, tiny little black rod. And it was so hard, it's incredibly hard and so small. And under the microscope, it turns out to be this massive, massive nano assembly. Now, since then, we've had a bunch, and my community are constantly sending me, and we're between us all, we're constantly sharing these extraction images. I could spend hours and hours showing you and analyzing them, but these are some of the wires and the nanostructures that you get out. And this is like, tell me, is it natural to have reds and pinks and greens and blues embedded in your skin? This is skin. This is skin that came out from a nano extraction here. Is that from shedding? This is from everything. This is from shedding, food, air, water, everything you breathe, everything you touch, for probably from before you were born, from the sperm and the egg. Like, this is how far back this goes. And it just builds up and builds up and builds up. 100 trillion every single day. So here are some more. Again, this is not normal, having these things interwoven, and you can see the inflammation in the skin. The body's trying to actually fight this, and now that it's disengaged, it can. Because before, the body probably wasn't having a reaction, or it had to be extremely, extremely crazy for the body to actually go, something is killing me, I don't know what. Now that we've disengaged the program, we can get these things out. Is this normal? Is this normal to get out of your skin? Tell me. This is nano extractions. More. People get in, and these things come out. Look at this. This is from a colleague in America called Fire Medicate. Look at these images. Yes, you can see things in the water, but you have to, generally, to act like this is very magnified. So usually you have to take a sample and put it under the microscope. In fact, somebody emailed me the other day and said, I just took like a drop. He didn't even like actually try and take a sample of anything. He just took a drop from he was doing the bucket instead of the bath. So he was doing the foot soak in a bucket, and he just took a drop and put it under the microscope. And these are some of the things that we get out. Pretty crazy, right? Scary. Yep. Who's with me so far? Beautiful. Okay. So by the way, Ed, you're still direct messaging me instead of sending to everyone. You can just click the blue button and then change it to everyone. Okay. Um, Now, I know clearly you guys are a very aware audience. Normally, I would just skip through this, but how about I cover the next step? We've covered disengage, we've covered detox. How about, given the limited time that I have, how about we talk about damage reduction? Is that cool? Let me see the chat here. Can you share the bath recipe? Certainly, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay, beautiful. So the principle with damage reduction is more out than in, because you have 100 trillion nanoparticles every single day coming in minimum to offset. So as we're disengaging and we're detoxing, can we reduce, how much can we reduce of the intake so that there's less load on the body? You know, we're already doing nano disengagement for a few minutes every single day. We're already aiding the body in detoxing this. Now it's disengaged. Can we reduce this a little bit? And so with damage reduction, you are eating and drinking nanotech every single day. And the thing is, this is cloaked. Like, I get that, for example, you breathing out on the street or you breathing in a shopping center, pretty unavoidable, right? There's a tax for breathing and there's a toxicity tax for breathing. But there are a lot of things that we can avoid. And one of those things is the synonyms and trick words that they use in our foods and supplements to trick us, because there's a lot of like rising consumer awareness about nanotechnology and nanotoxicity. And so some unethical companies are finding ways to hide that, to say, oh no, this isn't nano, this is something else, when it's actually nano. And there are some pretty crazy nano supplements out there that you've heard great things about, and yet they can actually be quite toxic. One of them, has anyone heard about carbon 60? Carbon 60 or C60? Nope, that's a good thing. Yes, okay. No, no. It's one of the less, I intentionally picked one of the slightly less known nano supplements. So when you think about this, even though this is a supplement and it's promoted as so great, it is still a nanomaterial. Now, to avoid becoming a full lecture on its own, if you're interested in this or you have a a question about that, then ask me separately, please. But people that take this literally within a few weeks to a few months, a large percentage of them starts getting headaches. They start getting brain fog. They start having serious problems. Now, why is that? Because this C60 is going and it's going into the brain. It's crossing the blood-brain barrier because it has that invisibility cloak and it's so small. And it is conductive. It's making these people, it's putting electric wires. You could think about it as putting electric wires inside of people's heads. And it's making them more EMF sensitive. Now, when they go out, it's like a little antenna in their head, little carbon 60 antennas in their head. And so this is an example of what we call the health food industry hijacks. And I'm actually working on a documentary with a guy about this, because it's horrible. Another nano supplement, I know somebody who took a nano supplement for 10 years. It was supposed to improve their skin. And maybe related, maybe unrelated, this lady 10 years later got talk about an unheard of diagnosis, osteoid osteoma, which is a growth in her leg, on her bone, and she had to get it removed. She had to get her leg opened up and lasered. Okay, and a lot of this is actually undisclosed. So you have to be a detective. You have to really look at the food or the supplement or whatever it is, and really use your detective skills to figure out, is this safe for me or not? Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you guys feel like this? A little bit like this. I feel like that too. Where's the chat? Does nobody feel like that? Suzanne said, no, definitely not. Okay, cool. Cool. So I just laid out basically the framework. And I hope now I've been able to show you what's possible. Like that is the golden blueprint that you need to figure out how to implement. And unfortunately, I can't cover everything in 60 minutes. This is probably going to go over 60 minutes. But I showed you all, I think, the key elements that you need to, now listen to this, all the key elements you need to stop shedding, destroy nanotechnology, keep your DNA safe, avoid nanotoxicity in your body, prevent transhumanism, and destroy synthetic biology. How? It all goes back to that system and the top, disengage and then detox and damage reduction. Is that cool? Are you guys excited? Beautiful. Okay. So now, because I don't have time to go through the whole system with you, I put together a special package to start for you to start your anti-nano detox journey. So you can actually implement it for yourself and your loved ones and gain the benefits. Would you like me to spend 10 to 15 minutes walking you through the special offer? Is that cool? So I wrote a book. Do you guys like the cover? It's pretty striking, isn't it? I wrote a book called The 3 Secrets of the Anti-Nano Detox. And this is all about actually taking you step by step and showing you the what, the why, and the how of actually taking this framework, taking this system, and actually implementing it for you and your loved ones. Now, it's an actual physical book. I have it right here with me. I can't see the screenshot, but can you guys see that? Is that cool? Okay. I love it, man. You can hold it in your hands and actually read it. And that to me is just a huge difference. So let me actually ask you, because I was talking to someone and I asked them, like, I was brainstorming this and I was thinking, like, how much is your health and your freedom worth to you? Like, how much do you value that? How much does your, the integrity of your genetics matter to you? Because I realized that if you think about this, if you don't have your health and your freedom, you have nothing. So I asked her, I said, like, what would you give to have your health and your freedom and never have to worry about nanotechnology or synthetic biology or injectable shedding and genetic programs ever again? And she said, like, wow, that's big. Let me think about it. And I said, you know what? Let me tell you how I see this. Because since I would have nothing if I don't have my health and my freedom, I would give everything, literally everything I have, just so that I have my freedom and my health. And that's me personally. That doesn't have to be you. We know that a lot of people would gladly give that up for, I don't know, whatever else. But that's me, right? Because if you don't have your freedom and your health, you have nothing. Okay. So normally, if I wanted to sell this to you, I would charge you $97. And even though, like, even at that price, I think it would be a totally fair bargain. And personally, I would buy it myself. But I'm not going to give it. But actually, first, let me ask you, do you think that would be a fair price? To understand the full system of keeping your freedom and your health and achieving your freedom and your health, no matter who you are. Yes or no? Depends how many, depends how many. This is not about pages, man. What this is about is giving you everything you need to actually know how to implement this. Doesn't matter how many pages. This might be, this might be 1 page. It might be 5,000. It's actually about changing your life in that way and giving you the health and the freedom. Somebody said much cheaper than an hour consultation with any health practitioner. Kidding, yes, it is a fair price for the information. Okay, Yan pranking me out here. Okay. So I'm not going to charge you $97, but let me ask you a question. Does your definition of health include your brain, your mental clarity, sanity, avoiding Alzheimer's and Parkinson's? Because what we see really is, these people that are infected and really do get these horrible reactions, they live a living nightmare of pain and horror. And if you don't have your brain and your thoughts, and these people are being changed from the inside, if you don't have your thoughts and your mind, and like, who are you? You're in somebody else's body. How horrible is that? So, okay, well, Harari is more than happy to work you all your life, take all of your taxes, fill you up with all of this toxic nanomaterial, the materials that go into your brain and change you and cause all of these neurological diseases. And oops, now you have Alzheimer's. So now we need to feed the medical machine. We need to feed the medical complex. And so pay for expensive treatment to, alleviate your symptoms. It's incurable, but alleviate your symptoms, right? And then when you have no more money and you can't even remember your name, well, here's a flu shot. And we all know what that means at that level. I think we've all seen certain elderly people that took this, and it was they're put down like dogs. So it's actually really, really horrible. I was looking at some statistics the other week, and 15 people with dementia per 1,000 Australians. 15 people. 27,800. Has anybody heard about early onset or younger onset dementia? Has anybody heard about that? Yes. 27,800 Aussies in 2021 under 65 had this early onset dementia. So this is people in their 30s, 40s, or 50s, under 65. Excuse me. And this statistic was taken in 2021. I expect with injectables and shedding, that number will skyrocket. And is that a fair point? I think so. And so we're getting people in their 30s having these, getting dementia or Alzheimer's and all these horrible things. And again, we've heard about the turbo cancers. So I have actually worked with people with brain injuries, and I know how hard it is. And I also know what it works. And I also know what works. And I've been thinking pretty deeply about this lately, that like if I can put a few small things into your hands that will give you the greatest result, just a few little things that you can do that will ensure the safety and the health of your brain as you disengage nano and detox that, so that these statistics, you're never part of these statistics, right? So today, when you buy the 3 Secrets of the Anti-Nano Detox to free yourself from nanotoxicity and transhumanism, I will throw in a bonus for absolutely free, my book or my guidebook, 3 tips to feed your brain and stay sane. This is like the 5% that will give you 95% of the results. And I know what's in this book. I love what's in this book. Like, I think, actually, I have it here. This is the real deal right here. So now obviously this is priceless, right? If you don't have your brain, if your thoughts aren't your own, what are you, right? Now, normally I would sell it for $122 though, because something being priceless doesn't mean that's the price you'd sell it for. So normally I would sell it for $122. However, when you buy the 3 Secrets of the Anti-Nano Detox, I will throw this in for you for absolutely free. So when you buy today the 3 Secrets of the Anti-Nano Detox, you're going to get the Anti-Nano Detox book, so you can be free of nanotoxicity and transhumanism, and you're also going to get the Feed Your Brain and Stay Sane guide, so you can stay sane for as long as you live. Total value, $219. Does that sound good? Who's with me? This is going to be fun. Okay. Now, what about the trick words and the synonyms, the way industry gets you to unknowingly take nanotechnology? It's one thing to say, I do not consent, but they're actually tricking you, and they know what they're doing. They're actually tricking you. I'll give you an example. Ultra fine. Did you know that ultra fine is a word that they use in supplements specifically, most commonly, to trick people into actually getting a nano supplement? And what you find is that these supplement companies are actually, a lot of the big supplement companies are actually owned by the same pharmaceutical corporations. Can you imagine these sickos like Gil Bates? All right, I think you know who I'm talking about. Gil Bates. These sickos laughing, thinking, ha ha ha. We got them to take poison with the medical industry, and we got them to take poison with the supplement and the health food industry. So, do you want to be able to recognize these tricks and understand and know and be able to cut these things out and have a reference next time you go shopping for food or supplements or water or whatever it is, liquid products, and actually know what to say? Oh, hey, that is actually a trick word. That is a synonym. That is a keyword that I know. Okay, nope, that's nano. Would that be helpful? You have one yes, two, three. Yep. Yep. Let's get a few more. Knowing what trick words is very important. Yep. Okay. So I have a second bonus for you. So this will allow you to recognize nanotech food products and supplements. It's 31 nano ingredients and trick words. Okay, it's 31 nano ingredients and trick words that you can look at, go through, and use as a reference to see what is actually in your products and cut these things out so that you don't get, headaches from the C60 or osteoid some weird tumor on your bones. So normally I would, if I wanted to sell you this regularly, I would sell it for $29. However, today I'm going to sell it to you. I'm going to give it to you for free. So today, when you buy the 3 secrets of the anti-nano detox, so you can stay free of nanotoxicity and transhumanism, I will also throw in, the 3 tips to feed your brain and stay sane, so that you can stay sane and keep your mind for as long as you live. And I'm also going to throw in the 31 nano ingredients and trick words. Does that sound good? Total value, $248. Who's with me so far? Does that sound valuable? Yes. Yes. Keep the yeses coming as long as they are a yes. Okay. Good. Very valuable. Beautiful. Okay. What about nutrition? All right. I want to give you as much of the relevant information, not a million pages, but the relevant information so that you can start your anti-nano journey, your anti-nano detox journey. So what about nanotech in your food? Now, you may not know this, but many fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides now use nano delivery systems. Did anyone know this? And here's the thing. What we've found, what studies have found, is that fertilizers and chemicals put on agricultural lands travel thousands of kilometers through rain. And so even in organic farms, these nano delivery systems are going everywhere. They are everywhere. It's literally embedded into our food at the genetic level. Unfortunately, that's unavoidable. And you can go on these farmers' forums and these home grower forums, and people are showing the weird mutations of vegetables and plants and saying, this year, I got an email last month from a farmer in Queensland. He said, this year, there's something different. There's something just, things aren't growing like they used to. The ground, the way when it puts water and it absorbs water, it's just different. Something is wrong. So when you buy the nanotech detox guidebook, you also get, I'm going to throw in number 3, the third bonus. It's a small booklet. It's a few pages, but it makes a big difference. Anti-nano nutrition, how to source the cleanest food with minimal nanotech in it. Normally, I would sell this for $9. However, today I'm going to give it to you for free. How's that sound? Does that sound good? Okay. So what you get when you buy today, when you buy the 3 Secrets of the Anti-Nano Detox book so that you could stay free of nanotoxicity and terminate, destroy transhumanism, I will also give you for free the 3 tips to feed your brain and stay sane so that you stay sane and keep your mental clarity and your mental power and all of your memories for as long as you live. And also the little things that give you the biggest impact. And also throw in the 31 nano ingredients and trick words so that you can know what nano is actually in your supplements and in your food and in your products and in your makeup. That's another big one. And reduce it and remove it. And also throw in the anti-nano nutrition book so that you know exactly what food and where the best sources are and how to source the cleanest food to reduce the nano intake. Does that sound good? I love you, Yan. Free is good. A good book collection. Okay. So here's the lineup. Total value $257. Here's the lineup. You're going to get the 3 secrets of the anti-nano detox book, the 3 tips to feed your brain and stay sane, 31 ingredients and trick words cheat sheet, and the anti-nano nutrition booklet. Total value $257. Okay, so now what I'm calling this is the anti-nano journey starter pack. So I'm trying to put in your hands everything that you need to start this journey to actually be free of all of these things, of synthetic biology, to avoid becoming a transhuman cyborg, to maintain your genetic integrity, and to be free of nanotoxicity here and for as long as you live, and for all of your loved ones that will actually listen. For all of your loved ones that will actually listen and take that on board. So how much do you take cash? Getting to that, how much do you think I am going to give you this thing for? When you buy today, how much do you think I've got to charge you? I'm going to give you the whole anti-nano journey starter pack for, and this is hardcover, right? Hardcover, the 1,000 hardcover for free. For free. How does that sound? But there's a catch. There's a catch. Why is that? When all of you buy, I'm going to rack up a massive cost printing, binding, packaging, and shipping these. And again, these are all physical products, like full color with diagrams and information and highlights and boxes and all of that. So I'm not some big operation, run out of a warehouse with like big fulfillment centers and all that stuff. So the cost is quite massive for me. So today, you're going to get the Anti-Nano Journey Starter Pack for free. Total value $257 for free, plus a printing and shipping fee of $42. And I can assure you, I'm not making a single cent in profit. In fact, probably I'm going to make a little bit of a loss on this, but I really want you to understand the importance of this and actually be one of the action takers and start implementing this. Start investing in your understanding and implementing this so you can actually gain benefit from this 1 hour and 20 minutes so far that you've spent with me, so that you can actually free yourself and actually achieve whatever your idea of health is. Does that sound good? Now, interestingly, I wanted to have a page where you could just click and buy it. But my legal counsel has advised me against selling off a web page. And that's, I think, because there are some pretty powerful things in there. So don't want to ruffle any feathers, as Kelly said. So I don't want to get shut down for helping people. So, I want to help people and continue helping people. So because I don't have a web page up, you can right now make a direct bank transfer. I will post this in the Zoom chat in a second. And you can just pay by pay ID, direct bank transfer, a payment of $42. And it's the Anti-Nano Journey Pack is free, and just the $42 for the printing and shipping. And then email me at order@powerofthepulse.com with your address, and I will rush mail you the entire Anti-Nano Journey Starter Pack. Who thinks that sounds good? I will put that in the thing again, and then I will start sharing again so that you can refer to that. So all you need to do is make the pay ID to this. I'm going to put this in the chat also so that if this goes on the internet, I don't dox myself or anything, because there are some people that are just intent on making truthers' lives hard, which I get it. We're actually freeing people and changing the world. So for some people, it's a tough one. But there you have it.
Zac, I'll also put that offer in the email, so if anyone missed it, they can reply back to the email when I send out the recording as well, and they can pick up.
Beautiful. And I want to thank everyone for being here. That's all I have for today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for investing in your freedom and your health. And I really, really, really hope that going forward, this actually changes what you do and your health and your freedom. Because this is, I mean, in the past, I've spent a lot of time teaching, going into the scientific papers and the research and talking about why this is so scary. But what I realized is that I actually need to put, real strategies and instructions and manuals in people's hands so that they can take advantage of the solution. Because what I realized is that everyone has some idea of the problem and how in danger we are through so many different means, but it's actually the solutions that some people don't know so much about. And so this is what I've done. I hope I achieve my goal of really changing what you guys do and changing your lives in that way. I know that's a big thing, but I hope I can achieve it. Thank you all very much. And let me know if you guys have any questions.
Yeah, Zac, well done. I want to say you're ahead of the game, but really, the game is so far ahead of us. So you're just bringing us up to speed with where it's at, and I want to thank you for all the time and energy that you put into the research of all of that. It's just extraordinary.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
yeah, we'll just stop share so we can come back to people's questions
okay. Does everyone have the information they need? Let me put that once more in the chat. How much would the Zapper machine cost? Okay, what I do now, because there's a few things for the spike, right? So we have a few questions about the spike. For the spike, what I've been doing recently there's a lot of censorship stuff that I have to circumnavigate. So what I'm doing is, if you are interested or you want to know about the spike, then email me at order@powerofthepulse.com. Let me put that in the chat. order@powerofthepulse.com. And we can talk there. And that way I can share with you all the information, all the beautiful details, and you can make a decision based on that. And just while there's a little bit of silence there, I wanted to thank you, Kelly, for having this beautiful group. And I just wanted to say that, we're exactly like you said, we're always playing catch up. But for me personally, I mean, I stand on the shoulders of the giants, which is really Tony Pantalaresco and his work at the time and still until this day. And yeah, I'm very grateful that I can share that.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. I love how you put that really difficult concepts, really complex concepts into really easy to manage analogies for us so that we can really get a grasp of what's going on.
That means a lot to me because I've actually tried to work on that.
Yeah, and those gruesome images. Thank you. Quite
oh, you should have seen my presentation last time. That
yeah.
was quite the thing. Yeah.
Now, do we have if you want to scroll back in the chat, I'll have a look. There's a few questions in there. So going back to the question that I had in the beginning, April wants to know as well. So where do you see that whole 5G thing happening?
It's very, very interesting. And in our research, it's interesting that 5G is kind of the viral thing because we're actually looking at 6G and the frequency range and all that kind of thing that 6G is going to use, and the increased bandwidth. And it looks like when they implement 6G, that will be the bandwidth necessary for the internet of bio nano things and the internet of bodies, where digital biometric data is relayed from every single body per second or per minute. And they need that massive network to be able to relay all this data to corporations and the CDC, for example, in the American research papers that we're looking at. And so that's the network. And of course, the toxicity is absolutely insane. But not only do we look at it from that angle, there's also the aspect of general electromagnetic frequencies that, you know, like even 3G, 4G, 5G, whatever it is, actually really, let's say we use this term like activating. So what can happen is that it makes the nano more toxic in us, or what it can do even further is you can put a nano machine inside of somebody and control it remotely with 3G, 4G, 5G, whatever it is really, a 6G, and you can move it around, use electromagnetic fields to move the nanobot around, or you can give it commands, give it instructions, receive data, and it's very scary. It's very nasty. There's a lot of research going into that. You can look it up.
How do you, other than like brain fog and things that you can kind of feel going on, how do you do tests to know the before and afters?
Yes, yes. So we do a live blood analysis. We have a few pictures in here. Oh, I see now. It's kind of blurred. Okay. Um, yeah, we have some live blood analysis pictures in here. It's interesting because a lot of the people that do live blood analysis, they're kind of they sometimes they don't want to share the stuff, or they can't get access to it or whatever. But yeah, actually, since you ask about it, yes, our device actually cleans the blood quite drastically. Like, people, are you guys aware about like rouleau formation? Like basically a voltage crisis in the blood where the person is basically so damaged to the point where their red blood cells now are sticking together. The red blood cells are supposed to be spaced apart, and now they're sticking together. And the device actually will remove the nanostructures inside, and that's part of the disengage framework. And so you remove the nanostructures, and then that way we found incredible, like we were surprised. This is a new finding for us. Just instantly, you know, 15 minutes or 10-15 minutes, and boom, the blood is back to really healthy. So it's incredible. And I've spoken to people who have done live blood analysis outside our direct community, and they say, like, we saw things in the blood before the injectable. We saw nanostructures and that kind of thing. But after the injectable, what we're seeing in the blood is just alien architecture. It's something else. And that's very concerning for, you know, what they're building inside of people, and where this agenda is going, how fast tracked this agenda is. Like Yuval said, Convid was the moment. It's nasty.
Do you know, I always think we see the movies and we see the spyware, you know, the technology, and by the time us lay people, you know, have technology in our hands that we can use, how long have they had it? You know, they've had this technology for sometimes 20, 50 years before we get it.
100%. And that's what I remind people. There are some, you know, microscopists and different people that have these arguments on the different social platforms like Rumble and BitChute, and they're arguing between each other about the specifics. And I what I did is I came in and I said, "Hey guys, stop arguing like little children. What both of you guys need to understand, I get this side and I get this side. What both of you guys need to understand is that the technology, the patents, the research, the experiments that they post." I mean, the military had computers long before you did. It's, you know, any advanced technology, these guys have it, and then they release a toned down version for the public. So the science they have and the science we have are two separate things, two entirely separate things. And we're
Yeah.
always, like you said, playing catch up.
Yeah. Is there any other questions in the chat?
I
Yeah,
have a lot of blood analysis
yeah,
here,
we
and he
can
said
see.
exactly what you said. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back that up.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Look, like that's such valuable information, and for $42, Zach, you know, you're really gone beyond the mark to just to make that available. So I think that's a good roundup there, at least, that to be able to offer you something back for your time and energy in making that available. So thank you so much for coming on, and I know you've been patiently getting to this day where you could share this, because we had talked about this some months ago. So, it goes really good on the back of our conversation last week where we talked about, we know there's stuff in the air and the water and the food, and, there's chemicals, just that alone, right? Rather than going the next level of what is in these chemicals, how do they get them so minute? It just really, scares me, but not anymore. I have confidence in that we have this ability to, in our hands, when we get out your Zap machine and the books. And thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. Let me just get a census here. Who likes the cover? Who thinks the cover is like pretty scary? Can you?
You've done a really good job of the artwork. Now you have to hold it close to your chest so that we can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Kelly's a pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, guys,
where are the yeses or the nos in the chat? Help me out here, guys.
Relax. They're all relaxed now. We want you to join us in 2 weeks' time. We will have Farmer Murray from Country Meat Direct. He will be in the hot seat, and he'll be interviewing Joe Sparks from Aussie Prepping, and she's going to be talking to us about equine therapies, and she does amazing sound healing and art therapy. But she's coming to the Freedom Summit live, and so I just wanted her on to be able to share with us these amazing healing modalities that she does with horses. That's so equine. So see you all again in 2 weeks. I'm not going to be here. I will be at the Snowies. Thank you for joining us tonight, and see you again. I'll be watching from on the 27th. So see you then, everyone.
I'm sure it'll be good. Sorry,
thanks, Zac.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Hi, I'm Kelly Wilkins. I am the founder of My Self-Reliance. Here at My Self-Reliance, we like to gather the community together. It's been amazing, actually. The sense of community, the connection between the people. We are all coming from different walks of life, from different backgrounds, but feeling in harmony together, aligned with the same purpose is just amazing. And the people here have depth of knowledge, experience and skills, and they are wholeheartedly sharing it with the whole community. This is just amazing.
It's been fantastic to be at the My Self-Reliance Festival. I'm here presenting a fermentation workshop, so that was lots of fun this afternoon. We got to make a bunch of sauerkraut, fermented veggies, do some fermented sodas, and just learn about gut health and how to preserve and how to live a healthier life.
I get excited when I see other people get excited that they can do what I'm teaching. So I did 72-hour go bags, and it's a way to be self-reliant and prepared for a time of crisis. And I really enjoyed being able to share that with people, because it helps other people see that they can be much more self-reliant, much more prepared for emergencies and crisis, and that they can be this person of calm in a time of chaos, which is really important, I think, in these days.
And every time I just take myself from where I am today to where do I want to be. And I just take those little baby steps, move myself, okay, where do we are today, where do I want to be?
I also came here to learn and to be a part of a greater community that can actually help us come together as community and be self-reliant in any situation, whether that be survival situations, whether that be to look after each other as a community using the resources that we have, using the food resources or emergency equipment.
I think I've enjoyed most about today is being at the beginning of something that you can see will grow over the coming years. So it's really lovely to have known Kelly and to see it from ground up.